Good day, YouTubers. Walter here. I'm going to talk about a couple of subjects today. It's a cold, not really cold, pretty chilly. I got a long sleeve shirt on. I guess the temperature's in the high 40s. But they're talking about going off to a freeze tonight. Got a couple items here I wanted to talk a bit. Most of my viewers know I began my Toolbox Project. I got my grinder project going on, trying to figure out what's wrong with that. I thought I'd just talk a little bit today. We're going to try out this sander, see what we can do with it about adjusting it. It's got an adjustment knob on here. I don't know what that screw is. Look at that, got grease on my hands. We'll drag out a new rag I bought down to the Harbor Freight. Clean my hand off. See if we can clean the grease off of that. I must have been laying up against a grease gun. This thing is made by Cummins. I haven't even used it enough to wear off the sticker. I want to use it a couple times and it depletes the air really bad. You either need a huge air compressor or adjust it. Now this kind of thing, it uses sandpaper that glues on there. I don't know where you get some of that at. Probably got it at Home Depot. Oh, not Home Depot, Lowe's. I mentioned Home Depot the other day. And I really bought these rollers at Lowe's Building Materials. I don't know why I said Home Depot. Probably had it on my mind. Now yesterday we cut these metal angle irons off the bottom of my toolbox. Well, you might be wondering what the heck they were doing on there. On the repair track at the railroad, they had a big mare post, probably as big as that telephone pole. And it had a overhead crane support that swung around and hooked up to it. And we used electric chain hoists to lift wheels with and truck sides to disassemble truck sides for repair. Not truck sides, trucks. Truck side is only part of a truck. One of these days maybe I'll get out around the Roosevelt Railroad and use one of their old set of trucks out there to explain a little bit more about them to you. Hadn't been out there in some time. What do I want to talk about here? Anyway, I got this old welder cover, put it over my toolbox, put it up on sawhorses. We're going to sand it down and refinish it. I'll talk more on the toolbox either later in this video or at another time. In the process of picking things up and getting it ready, this is where I began my video today. I'm just going to leave the toolbox outside. I'm not going to try to put it away every day until I get finished. We're going to try that. I'm going to try this out and make sander out here in a minute. Here's an item I mentioned the other day in my video, soapstone. Some of you might wonder what it's for. We carry this in our shirt pocket. When you do a lot of metal work, these come in handy. Say I wanted to cut this metal off right there with a torch. You can draw a line with it. Similar to chalk. Only when you stick that heating torch on there and that big old flame hits it, it just burned the chalk right off. You couldn't see where to cut. It don't burn off soapstone. You can still see that soapstone line when you got your cutting torch shooting across there, and pretty well cut it where you wanted it to be cut. If you're cutting a piece of metal and don't have it marked, ain't no telling which way you're going to be going, because you got your glasses on, your darkened glasses, and it's kind of hard to make a straight cut. Often with a big cutting torch, if you get it hot here on the edge, you can blow straight through, kind of offset to the other side, and work it back and blow a straight edge crossways. But it's better to cut it straight. There's not no wasted metal, and it's more accurate just to cut it straight across. I'm not the greatest torch operator in the world, but I'm pretty damn good with one. Comes from years and years of cutting metal on the railroad. Might not be the greatest welder in the world, but I'm pretty dang handy with a cutting torch. I'm not bragging, just fact. Now, I was talking about this metal. These toolboxes were welded to those mare posts that I talked about, because it was full of tools. If they wasn't welded down, somebody would have come around when nobody was out there and stole the whole box of tools. That's why they were welded down. Well, this looks all nasty because it was right down on the floor of the repair track. Never got swept under there. All kind of fire and dirt and oil and grease went up under that toolbox. That's why it looks nasty on the bottom. But I think it's going to sand down really nice. Had a comment from one of my viewers that I should build a frame around the bottom of this thing, and it makes sense. Rather than try to weld these rollers straight to the bottom of the box, we could build a frame under this thing and put the rollers on the bottom of the frame and just set the box right down in the frame. I like that idea. I've got, these are all 2-inch rollers. We're gonna probably use the metal ones. This one's not a metal one, but it's, I got it have a locking wheel. Same size. I got a couple of these to go with these here. Same size, 2-inch. In an upcoming project, I plan to do a welding table, a welding stand. Plan to do a welding stand, something with rollers on it. You can buy them at Harbor Freight, but they're real cheapo, and you roll your welder around rather than tote that big heavy booger bear. And we're going to build a welding table. And we're going to build a frame for the bottom of this toolbox. I always have more projects than I got time to do. I need to take my grinder off here and find out if there's a starting capacitor under there or a loose wire or something before I even think about taking that motor apart. Most of my viewers seem to think it's a starting capacitor, so that's what we're going to check out. That boy goes up and down this road on that motorcycle, sometimes even faster than that. Now, being an old motorcycle rider, I know the danger involved in speed on a motorcycle on a road like this. If you're out on the expressway, I see no harm in going 60, 70 miles an hour. The motorcycle's quite capable of performing those deeds. But you don't have the chance of somebody pulling out in front of you. And you're going the same speed as the other traffic. So you're pretty well a lot safer on the expressway than you are on this highway. And what that idiot ain't taking into consideration is there's a driveway at almost everybody's house, and you never know when somebody's going to pull out in front of you. Some old lady can come pulling out, going to town or going to church, not knowing that that idiot's coming down the road doing 70 plus miles an hour in this 50 mile an hour speed zone. He's either going to kill himself in the ditch or kill her when it hits her. That's just a fact. Riding on neighborhood streets is not for speeding. It's not just my opinion, it's a fact. Alright, back to what I was talking about. Where do we want to start from here? Let's try out our pneumatic sander. Oh, that ain't even turning. Maybe it needs a shot of oil. That's using a lot of air. I wonder what this debunker does. Maybe it's adjustable. Nope. Well, we could start off by fixing that leak. There's a screw right under here. I wonder if it would make any difference to turn that. It's more like a cap than it does a screw. Well, the screw don't seem to want to turn. Guess I could try harder, but I didn't. See how long before this thing depletes my air compressor. Now, if I was sanding on this box, I would pretty well be using it full speed. We already hear the air compressor kick on in a minute. Maybe it's the way you use it. Maybe I should just be using it periodically. Air compressor came on already. We'll find some way to glue some sandpaper on there and try it. Yesterday we gave my hammer a good workout. I thought I'd talk about that for a minute. While I was hammering, it flung out of my hand, banged the garage door. But I gave it a pretty good workout, and my handle is still solid in there. There was a time when I could grip a hammer pretty good. When I got hurt and the railroad let me go, I tore out my rotor cuff completely. Went to the doctor and they sewed my muscles all back together in my shoulder there. But when they repair your rotor cuff like that, when it's completely severed, they hook an entirely different muscle, which ain't as big as your rotor cuff. But your body, you learn to adapt. It took me over a year where I could raise my arm up over my head and doing physical therapy and stuff. And I can do pretty good stuff with my arm now, although I have no control over it. I can't do anything accurate. At one time I could throw the hell out of a baseball. Say, aiming at that tree, I'd hit that tree every time when I threw that baseball. Well, not now. Since your brain, you had to redevelop your brain to use your arm, and it doesn't function ever again the way it did. So that's why it amazes me how pitchers with a rotor cuff, I'm sure their rotor cuff won't be completely torn, or they'd never be able to throw the ball again. But how they can regain their skill at pitching the ball when they've had a torn rotor cuff. My left rotor cuff is still torn. I can tell that for a fact. But if I threw a baseball at that tree right now, there's some pretty motorcycles, and they're driving right. If I threw it at that tree right there, I'm liable to hit my car over there. It just ain't gonna go where I threw it. But anyway, what I was driving it with this hammer, probably should have made that handle just a little bit bigger. But a 4-pound hammer ain't no toy, Jack. That sucker's got some weight to it. You need a good arm to swing that booger bear. It's gonna be my blacksmith hammer. What else was I talking about here? I discussed my rollers. I need to put them in the bag and put them away. I got some bolts here. Out there at the back of the property by the barn, there's an old utility trailer I had. And I kept it because I was going to fix it up. But I'm never going to rebuild that trailer. It's got a good axle under it. And the frame is made out of metal. I'm going to go out there one day with my generator trailer and cut some of that metal off there to use in my metal projects up here. No point in letting that metal stay out there and go to waste. And you can't go out here and buy any metal reasonably. I was at Lowe's Building Materials the other day and looked at the price of their little sheet metal and other things. $38 for a little piece of sheet metal that big. They can fly a kite for. I'll pay them prices. I'll cut the side out of an old washing machine or something if I need a piece of sheet metal. Probably have to go to a metal recycle place to get a good deal on some metal. We sure had to do some grinding and beating and hammering to get this crap off the bottom of this toolbox yesterday. So periodically from time to time over the upcoming winter, we're gonna be sanding on my metal box to the point we get it all cleaned up and sanded down. I need some suggestions from you. In fact, let me pause and move all this junk. Okay, I've put away my bench grinder because obviously this video is getting too long and it's late in the afternoon. I'm not going to get that done. I bet my neighbor keeps wondering who I'm talking to out here. Got a tarp here somewhere, but I think that'll work good enough for covering this up. I need some suggestions from my viewers on my Toolbox project. Now, first of all, I'd like to put some kind of strut in here, like the strut that holds up a trunk lid. I can just see me dropping that booger on my fingers or something. I need a lifting strut. I need a little lubrication over here. That's a little stiff. This lid has been banged up and down for years. It's no wonder it works at all. I'm open to suggestions on what to do in this box. I know we're going to sand it and paint it. I think it looked pretty red. Probably paint the inside black. I'm not sure what color the inside would be. Cut these old bolts off of here. They were used at one time to probably to hang something. But I think it can come in downright handy for storing some of my tools. Not all of them. I don't have enough room in here for all my tools. But maybe my saws, power tools, sockets and ratchets set up here or something. I'm constantly rooting through the toolbox to try to find proper socket and ratchet. You try to find a 10mm socket. A toolbox could be rooting in there for 2 hours. So I need a better system for finding my stuff more quickly. We've got to come up with a hasp for the front. I'm going to sand it down, refinish it. Probably not a whole lot I can do with that old sprung out hinge. Guess you could replace it, but that one works just fine. Some struts or bracket of some type or other. Maybe a chain where it doesn't flop all the way open this way, but if you got the strut on there, you won't need that chain. It should stop automatically, just like a trunk lid on a car. Yeah, I can just see me dropping that on my finger. Not much of a vlog today, but we did get to talk a little bit. I expressed my opinion of crazies on a motorcycle. I had a motorcycle for years. Used to ride it to work in Atlanta. Well, when I came down here to Griffin, Georgia, my motorcycle sat and I never drove it because I was driving a railroad truck home every day, burning up their gas, not mine. And in return, I always had a truck here I was going to call. And many a time they called me out in the middle of the night to go to Plant Wansley to find out why a coal train was stranded up there. Usually on a winter day would be air lines froze up. Had to put alcohol in the lines to get the train to dump. I spent many an hour working on these coal trains you see running up and down the line. And also I was called out a lot at night for train derailment. Ain't nothing more miserable to have to get up in the middle of the night, temperature below zero, snow and ice on the ground, drive 30-40 miles to a train wreck, and work the rest of the night dragging around replacers and blocks. Make you appreciate being in front of a heater. Them days are long gone. That concludes my video today. Maybe I better put something on there to keep my cover from blowing away. Thanks for tuning in, my friend.